Hello, and welcome to healthyhouseplants.com, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. If you'd like to support our show, please use our Amazon affiliate link below. In today's video, we are stopping back in with Marco here. He was part of the part of a revival series for him, and we had repotted him on 7/31. So right now it is the very beginning of September. So we're talking about a little bit more than a month for him. And when you look at the other video and this video, you're going to see a lot of growth here. So you see new stalks. This is a really, really, really good indicator that he's doing well, all the new growth. So after you do a repotting, you start to see new growth. That means the plant has established in the pot and it's doing well. Here's another frond that's coming in too. You'll also see that he's greening up considerably because prior he was pretty nutrient deficient. As mentioned, the Parlor Palms, they do, and palms in general, do suck up a lot of nutrients. Now, when I put him in this pot, you might have thought, well, this is too small of a pot. So, however, you'll see that he's really responding well to this pot. He is a fast grower, though, so he will be being potted up probably in a couple more months. Yes, it does take a little extra time to repot the plants on a regular basis, but that is the only way to avoid root rot, because as I've mentioned many times, if I had put him in double the size of this pot thinking, okay, then I give him a lot of room to grow, he probably wouldn't have grown that much and he may have succumbed to root rot. So that's why he's doing well, because he's in the right size pot. When I put him in this pot, it was a 2/3 pot to a 2/3 plant to 1/3 pot ratio. He's starting to outgrow that ratio, as you can see, but I will wait until he definitely outgrows the ratio before I repot him into a little bit bigger pot. You keep doing this, you keep putting them into pots that are a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. You're going to have a really, really healthy, strong, vibrant plant. Prior, he hadn't been potted in a long time, so repotted in a long time, and he really needed it. So now he's doing really well. I am, however, I'm not going to be repotting him yet, as mentioned. However, I am going to give him some nutrients because, as mentioned, plants, the palms, and there are other plants really soak up. There are certain plants that soak up the nutrients as these do. So I'm going to be using some of my Green Gourmet houseplant food, which I will put the link for below. It's on my website, and I am going to insert the fertilizer, as I recommend, into potted plants with a wooden dowel, and actually all of my fertilizers come with one of these wooden dowels. So what you want to do is you want to make a hole in the plant and you want like every 2 inches or so, depending on the size of the pot. If it's a big pot, you go every 2 to 3. If it's a smaller pot, you want to go every 1 to 2. And you make a hole, you take a little bit of the fertilizer, sprinkle it in. You want to go by package directions as to how much you're doing overall, so you got to be careful with that. I pretty much can know that by just looking now, but when you're starting out, be careful. So I'm putting it in each one of these. I'm putting it about a half a teaspoon, even a 1/4 teaspoon. And what you do is when you put it in that hole, then it goes down to the root zone where you really need it. I'm going to do it only 3 times in him for this size pot. So another half teaspoon or so, maybe a little bit less than that. And putting it in here. Okay, and then you cover it back up with the wooden dowel. Works really well. So this gets the fertilizer, as mentioned, to the root zone. A lot of package directions will tell you, sprinkle it on the top and it'll get down below. Well, eventually it'll get down below after watering, if it doesn't go over the top when you're watering and down the drain or into a saucer, or and even if it does, it takes a long time to get down there. My fertilizer also has mycorrhizae, which needs to be at the root zone in order to activate and I have another video on that. It's a fungus, a microscopic fungus that attaches to plant roots in exchange for bringing the plant more water and more nutrients than it would on its own. So basically it makes the root system a lot stronger, and so you want to get that down at the root zone too. So okay, so I had watered Marco prior, and you want to, before fertilizing a plant, you want to water prior, and then you want to water afterwards too, to activate the fertilizer. I also have here some vermicompost, and I am going to do a few holes of that as well in different places than I did the other. The worm castings are very low source of nutrients, so you can't, it's hard to overdo them, but you can overdo anything. But so you can put a fairly generous amount into your soil. I do have a video about that. So into your soil when you're repotting, and also use it as a mulch. So I'm putting a little bit of that in him too. So that's going to give him that extra, the micronutrients, the macronutrients, natural growth hormone, which is also in my Green Gourmet fertilizer. Okay, now we are going to water him. You want to water slowly so it can sink in and doesn't flow over the top. You want to water until it's very well hydrated. The first time I watered him a little while ago prior to this, I waited until the water came out the bottom of the pot. You don't necessarily have to do that again on the second watering unless you want to. But more, you just want to make sure it's nice and soaked so that that fertilizer can get wet and can become activated and the plant will start taking up the nutrients. Keeping in mind too that when you fertilize, it takes a plant a week to 2 weeks before it will take up the fertilizer when it's taken up via soil roots. There's a difference between roots growing in water and roots growing in soil. Soil roots go through an extra process before they absorb nutrients. So don't expect if you fertilize your plant the next day, it's going to be reacting. It takes a little bit of time. So just have to have patience, just talk to the plant, sing to the plant, do other things rather than worry about if the fertilizer is working. Okay, so there is that. Marco's doing well. Probably there's a little bit of water coming out of the pot. I wouldn't want to have too much water going out of the pot right now because I did just fertilize him. You don't want to wash the nutrients through. You can also use liquid fertilizers. Those work well as well. So we will check back in again with him in a month, probably a couple months. At that point, I will be repotting him, so you can see the next stage in the repotting of a revival like this, and say hi to him again. So that is that. Thank you for stopping by today. Please leave any comments about any indoor gardening tutorials you'd like to see. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And please check the bell if you'd like to be notified when we release new videos.